right, today we are going to be making some Crockpot Turkey Chili. This is super hearty and a great recipe to make with ground turkey. Hi there, it's Audrey from the recipe website 2pinkpeonies.com. Today I wanted to share one of my favorite recipes to make with ground turkey. We'll be making Crockpot Turkey Chili. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is spray our crock pot with nonstick spray. I'm using, this is extra light olive oil spray just because that's what I prefer to use. And then I have 1 pound of ground turkey that I browned. Now I did want to share a tip for crock pot recipes. I learned this tip from a Facebook group. This was like many years ago when I learned this tip, but their tip was to buy the meat like ground beef, ground turkey. You could even do this with chicken, but to brown it and then freeze it. And then when you want to make a crock pot recipe, just leave it in your fridge overnight and defrost it. Now, I didn't do that this time. I just browned it, and you can of course just brown it too. But I did want to share that tip because I think it is a great tip, especially when you're busy and you're making crock pot recipes. All right, so I've got my crock pot sprayed with nonstick spray. I've got 1 pound of ground turkey that's been browned with the fat drained. And then I've got 1 large onion that's been finely diced. And then let's see, I've got 1 can of pinto beans that I drained and rinsed. 1 can of kidney beans drained and rinsed. And then I've got 1 can of crushed tomatoes. Now don't drain this one. Drain the beans and rinse the beans, but not the tomatoes. These are crushed tomatoes, about 15 ounces. I've got 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. You can do 1 to 2. All right, and now this just looks like chili powder because the chili powder overtook everything. But this is the seasonings for the chili. It's 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, half a teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And you can do the salt and pepper to taste if you like. And then I'm gonna add 1 cup of water. So you can add 1 to 2 cups of water. All right, and then I have 1 cup of water. You can do 1 to 2 cups of water. Just if you're gonna cook the chili on low, I definitely recommend doing 2 cups. If you're gonna do it on high for like 2 to 3 hours, then you can just add 1 or 1.5 cups of water. All right, so I'm gonna give everything a big stir. And then I'm gonna cook this on high for 2 to 3 hours. You can also cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours. So once this comes together, I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so my chili has been cooking for a couple hours now, and this is what it looks like. I think this is one of my favorite recipes for ground turkey because it's very flavorful. A lot of the times when you cook with ground turkey, it's not as flavorful as, say, like ground beef, but I think this is a really flavorful chili. If you try it, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know how you like it in the comments below. I'm gonna serve mine with some corn chips and some freshly grated cheddar. I have some Amish cheddar in the fridge. I think I learned about grating my own cheddar from the Pioneer Woman like many, many years ago, like 10 plus years ago. If you have time, and I don't always have time, if you can grate your own cheddar, it makes a huge difference. It tastes so much better. And again, I don't always have time, but if you have a chance, I really recommend it on chili. It tastes so good. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know how you like the recipe in the comments below.